Wasting money on cures. Forgot how to fix myself. They say that time is free. Then why is it so precious? Oh, I'll say memories in my head, like Polaroids on walls. They remind you to look ahead. Time is running out. Time is running out. Lately I've lost my track. I've sailed the deeper seas, hoping to find something to bring back better times. Oh, I'll say memories in my head, like Polaroids on walls. They remind you to look ahead. But time is running out. 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 Time is running. Time is running out. But time is running out. What if my best days are over? They can be over. They can't be over now. Time is running out. What if my best days are over? They can't be over now. Time is running out. Time is running out. Time is running out.
We're back. It's 2:00 on Easter Thursday, and it's our last live A-Level Business live stream before the Easter holiday break. And I've managed to persuade Graham to stay and do another one, G. So welcome back.
You're very welcome. I think it's our. If we had a cake for live streams, there would be how many candles on it, Jim?
250, Graham.
250. But if there was an economics cake, it would only be 211 candles. Some of us are slacking. That's all I can say.
Yeah, 250th, our 250th business live stream.
Wow.
And obviously, as
Wow.
people know, all we do is we just find and replace words to do the same PowerPoint. It's the same live stream every time.
That's it.
There we go, 250, and it's on AQA. Would you believe it? So
Yeah, would
this
you
session.
believe it?
Now, what we've done for this, it's about 30 minutes, 35 minutes, no more than that. We tried to pick. We put our brains together, pick. We think the topics which are trickiest, but also which students find often confused with other topics. Am I explaining myself properly, G?
Yeah, I understood every word of that.
So we're not going to promo the cinema workshops because everyone knows about them now. But we're going to go straight into our big reveal. But today's session is about stuff that students often get wrong, find tricky, and if it comes up in the exam, we don't want that to be you. So the idea is we go through the stuff, and well, I've put this one together. Shall I go through it, G?
Yeah, I've not seen it, so I've got no idea what it is.
Okay, here we go. So as always, it's a brand or business, and I can, by those of you who think it's always the same one, I can tell you now we've not done this one before.
A mega merger. Wow.
A mega merger. So when we look at methods of growth, which we'll be going through later, this was formed in 2000 to a mega merger. Hamez is saying, which one is getting repeated today? Not this one. Its headquarters is in Brentford, West London, isn't it? Not a million miles away from White City. Westfield
No,
White
no,
City.
no, no. I was at Brentford not so long ago for the football. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful football team. Lovely community stadium there, but just around the corner is the headquarters of this business. I was about to mention the name, but that would have been giving the game away, wouldn't it? It's not McVitie's, Tom, and it's not Vodafone or BT, but we're in the those are all names of businesses, not Tesco's.
Yeah, McVitie, someone's taking the biscuit there, aren't he?
It employs over 70,000 people across 70 countries, so that tells you that it's
Wow.
a multinational business. Lots of people come up with some good ideas. Sky, Time Warner, says Teddy. It's not Time Warner, although they probably
This is
employ
hard.
a significant one. It's not, but wait a
This
minute,
is hard.
wait a minute. Somebody has got it on clue 3. A world leader in pharmaceuticals. That's making products for farmers. Pharmaceuticals. And indeed, Joel of Mike was the first to get. And the name is usually shortened to GSK.
Brilliant.
So Noah and others, Chow and others have got it right. It is indeed a GlaxoSmithKline, and that name is the combination, the reason why. That's the name given to after the merger. So it was originally Glaxo, and they merged with a business called SmithKline, or Beecham-SmithKline as it was. And
Beecham's, yeah, I remember Beecham's powders. I remember those.
It's good for colds.
Definitely.
Coughs and sneezes spread diseases unless you've got Beecham's. So Thomas is saying, never heard of it. Well, it's one of the world's, I think it's the 3rd largest pharmaceutical business in the world. And anyway, we've got it now. Good stuff.
We do know about it now, don't we?
And we're going to look at GlaxoSmithKline a bit later in this session. So let's crack on now. As always, we've written some exam standard MCQs, all based on tricky topics. And I said to Graham, which should we do? He said, start with margin of safety. So here we go. All other things remaining equal, which one of the following would lower the margin of safety?
I'm going to have a go at this.
Okay, so one of those would lower the margin of safety. That would be bad news, wouldn't it? That would be bad news to lower the margin of safety.
Yeah, I think I've got it.
Evie, Tom, Fran, JT. JT's with us, so if you need a guide as to what the answer might be, keep an eye on JT and others in the live chat. They've all gone for the same one. And even better, and that's given me the answer with an explanation. It is indeed B. It's higher fixed costs, because higher fixed costs, all other things remain equal, would increase the break-even output. And we know that the margin of safety is actual sales, actual output, less the break-even output. So higher fixed costs would make it worse, increase the break-even output. Higher selling price per unit, lower available cost, and lower break-even would all increase the margin of safety. What a good start. That was a hard question. Do you want to do this one, G?
Yeah, okay, so 2 statements. We should be familiar with these. So statement 1, decentralisation reduces the number of layers in an organisational hierarchy. True or false? Statement 2, Statement 2, a likely long-term benefit of delayering is lower fixed costs.
Uh-huh.
Is that true or false? So, I think I'm okay with this one. So I think statement 1 is definitely true or false.
Yeah.
And statement 2 is definitely false or true.
A number of people taken me at face value when I said statement 1 was true.
Well, it might be.
But it might not. But it could be.
It could be, couldn't it? That's the idea of the Pippa, Katie, Hannah, Thanish, Freya, Daniel, all chipping in with some answers.
Yeah,
so
we've got a mixture of answers, haven't we?
Yeah, we seem to be split between B and C. So, and that means if it is B and C, we are completely unsure then, because sometimes if it's sort of A and B, you think you know that one of them is definitely true, but I think we are
lots of love for Cam. Cam hasn't fixed his keyboard; it's still got Marmite stuck to it. But fortunately, he keeps pressing the right answer. It is C. So let's go through this now. There's a lot of words in business studies that start with D and end in shun.
Yeah,
is decentralisation reducing the number of layers in an organisational hierarchy? Well, not last time I looked. That's delayering, which doesn't end in shun, but delayering. So that's false. Is a likely long-term benefit of delayering lower fixed costs? Yes, because that's one of the main reasons why you do it. So that's true.
Definitely.
Do you want to do this next one, G?
Yeah. So which of these approaches to human resource management would be best categorised as a hard HRM strategy? Paying staff based on how much they produce, providing staff with mentors as part of training, involving staff in decisions that affect them, providing staff with flexible working conditions. So is it A, B, C, or D? Hard HRM, there's a lot of different topics you can relate to that, isn't it, in terms of
Definitely.
motivational theorists and
Yep.
leadership styles. It's a very synoptic area, hard HRM.
Treating asset as a cost rather than an asset.
Rather than an asset, yeah. So it looks as though the majority are going for A, paying staff based on how much they produce. There's a name for that, isn't there? I can't remember what it is. If someone could type down the chat window what we call someone being paid for how much they produce, because I've forgotten. I think someone's mentioned the theorist actually is based on
it's been mentioned,
piece rate. Well done, Henry. Straight in there, piece rate. So paying staff per amount they are, how you're paying for them, how many they produce. You have a look at the answer. Yeah, it is A. So you would associate piece rate with a more hard HRM strategy. Taylorism there, maybe a more autocratic management style, where the others you would probably associate with a softer HRM strategy, providing staff with flexible working options, or a more democratic style, which is C. So Taylorism, my love, William Marston. Yeah, well, Taylorism, is it still relevant in today's business environment? Possibly.
Well, examples still use it, don't they? So
exactly. So it must have some relevance. Yeah, great stuff.
Good stuff. Now, this was an area that when it came up, students struggled with a year or two ago. So which of those examples of external growth, they're all external growth, from the specification is a venture? A venture. Is it Facebook acquiring Instagram? Is it Virgin Media and O2 joining to create Virgin Media O2? They must have spent a lot of time thinking about that new name. Is M&S and Ocado investing in a new grocery business? Or is it Greggs allowing independent business owners to operate outlets using its brand? One of those is what we will classify as a venture.
I think I know this one because I'm sure one of these was actually in an exam paper.
It was actually. It's a specific example that we're talking about here.
It was in paper 2 years ago.
Lola, Finley, and others, Tanya, Sam, Ahmed, and others, loads of answers coming in, have all gone for C. Let's see if that's the right answer. It is indeed C. Don't forget, there are different methods of external growth. Takeovers, acquisitions and takeovers, mergers, ventures, and franchising are the four specifically that we need to know about from the specification. So Facebook acquiring Instagram was a takeover. And since been renamed, doesn't it, as Meta, Facebook. Virgin Media and O2 joining, two businesses joining to create a new business. That's a merger. M&S and Ocado each investing in a new business. That's a venture. And Greggs is franchising.
Yeah.
So a venture is basically where you've got one or more partners investing in a joint venture, or it could be more than two businesses investing in a new business. Yeah. And they'll share, depending on the how much they invest and the agreement, they'll typically share the investment and share the profits, and also share some of the other business benefits, aren't they? That's the reason why you do them.
Yeah. So that M&S and Ocado was one of the case studies in paper 2.
Paper 2, yeah, 9 marker, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a 9 marker.
9 and 16 marker. Yeah.
Yeah. So generally, what you'll find is in paper 2. I'm aware that there's no MCQs in paper 2, only in paper 1.
Yeah.
But in paper 2, you'll have 3 case studies and questions relating to each case study. And the case study in paper 2 that year was M&S and Ocado. So, but the specific question on ventures, I can't remember whether it was a 9 or a 16.
I think it was a 9. Pretty sure it was a 9. But
yeah.
Good stuff. Franchising is classified as external growth in AQA, I believe.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was last time I looked. Do you want to do this one, G?
Yeah, okay. So again, 2 statements. So a strategy of differentiation involves selling new products to new markets. A strategy of diversification involves either horizontal or vertical integration. Well, that's a tricky one, that.
It is, isn't it?
Are those statements true or false? So a strategy of differentiation involves selling new products to new markets. A strategy of diversification involves horizontal or vertical integration. So we're splitting here between B and D. It's 50-50 at the minute. So
I know what I go with, but I read the question.
So now that it's tipped in a balance of D, there's still some B's coming through. It's definitely. Do you know what? I'm gonna put my neck out and say it's definitely B or D. So what do we think? Majority going for D, some still going for B. Yeah, some going. Should we reveal the answer?
A number of people have now got sticky keyboard syndrome.
Yeah, so it is D. So both those statements are false. So it's not differentiation statement one. It's diversification.
Yeah,
easy mistake to make. And a strategy of diversification involves either horizontal or vertical integration. Well, diversification is selling new products in new markets. So it's two different concepts completely. Now, these are what we call in examining terms, for those who maybe examine, as confusing pairs, where, students might get a question on differentiation and start talking about diversification, or get a question on diversification, start talking about delegation and things like that. It's so important. We can't stress enough to make sure you know all your key terms and concepts on the paper, because if you get a 60-mark question on diversification, start talking about differentiation, you're not going to get many marks for that. So you've got to know your stuff.
Yeah,
perfect.
Well done. We've got another one here. A business has got a gearing ratio of 45% and pays 10% interest on its non-current liabilities. It then issues new share capital, and it uses that to repay all its non-current liabilities. What's the effect of that on the financial performance of the business? So it's some combination of an effect on gearing and an effect on profits. That's a tricky question.
Very tricky.
That is probably at the level it's at in terms of AQA MCQs these days. Understanding what the impact might be of a change in a business situation.
Yeah.
What do we think? So it's got a gearing ratio. It pays interest on its non-current liabilities. It then issues share capital and repays all its non-current liabilities. So what's the effect there? Most people are going for A, I would say. I'd say 90% of people are going for A, but not everyone. Ria and Jamie and a few others, Wilco, are going for B. It's either A or B. Should we have a look?
Yeah.
It is B. Let's go through why that is. Well, firstly, if we're using share capital to repay our non-current liabilities, that means we've got, the bottom bit's the same, isn't it? Total equity and non-current liabilities are the same, but we've got nothing on the top. So we've got zero gearing. So lower gearing goes down from 45% down to zero, doesn't it? We have no non-current liabilities. But a consequence of having no non-current liabilities will be we'll have higher profits because we will not be paying interest on those non-current liabilities that we've paid off. So therefore, interest costs will be significantly lower. Therefore, profits will be higher. So it is indeed B. Correct answer. We've got one more, G.
Okay, so statement one, entrepreneurs usually risk their own capital as well as that of their employer. Statement two, the primary use of benchmarking is to identify how costs can be reduced. Are those statements true or false? Now, I know entrepreneurship, when it's been examined before, has caused lots of problems.
Just going back to that previous question, whilst you have a think about that. No, the impact on profit is that we don't have interest costs. Obviously, more shareholders, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to pay dividends. And in any way, that wouldn't have the dividend doesn't have an impact on profit. Dividend has an impact on retained profit, but the profits will be higher. But we're back to this question now. I think it's a tricky one.
I think the people seem to be doing well. Should we have a look at the answer to this one? Both of those are false. So benchmarking is not specifically how to identify how costs can be reduced. It's about comparing yourself to similar businesses in the market, setting a benchmark, as it were. And entrepreneurship is about being entrepreneurial within a business. So it's usually, it's employees. So it's not risking their own capital. It's basically, it's being entrepreneurial within the organization as an employee. Now, although people saying it's easy, it might be easy now, but entrepreneurship has generally caused a few problems. When it was examined last time, a lot of students mixed it up with internship and being an intern, which isn't even on the spec, but you can see how that misconception can happen. But entrepreneurship, intra meaning within, entrepreneurship within the business.
Yeah, a number of people asking about benchmarking and costs. The purpose of benchmarking is comparison.
So, yeah,
It's up to the
comparing.
business to decide what you might be comparing efficiency ratios. You might be comparing quality. You could be comparing market share. Can be costs, but it's not just to see how costs can be reduced. So
the primary use. The key there was primary use of benchmarking. Benchmark is to set a comparison which you might compare various things, not just costs, if at all.
Oh, we've got one more, so I'll do this one. We've added in a bonus 2-statement question. We deliberately made this session quite tricky. I know it's literally a few hours before we all take a break for Easter weekend, but let's finish off with another MCQ. So statement 1, is that true or false? Businesses that sell services rather than goods can still use multi-channel distribution. True or false? And what about statement 2? Does price skimming involve charging a low initial price to quickly gain market share? So what do we think? Either true or false, as always. AQA like these 2-statement questions because it enables them to examine often 2 different concepts in the same question. So 2 big ticks against the have we examined this topic yet? What do we think? So most people, I'd say, going for B. You're saying statement 1 is true and statement 2 is false. Let's have a look. It is indeed B. Well done. Yeah. So Finley, Lola, Francesca, who else? Lots of answers coming through. Let's go through what that is. So it's true that businesses, all kinds of businesses, can use multi-channel. Multi-channel distribution is simply how you can get your product, your good or service to customers using different methods, different channels of distribution. So you might use online, you might use some kind of physical delivery, but services can. So for example, I don't know, a plumber can use multi-channel, couldn't they? They could provide advice and guidance over a smartphone, or they could actually go do the work themselves. So it could be all kinds of different stuff. A tutor could be face-to-face tutoring. It could also be online, couldn't it? So there's lots of different ways of distributing services as well as goods. And price skimming, it's not price skimming, it's penetration pricing. Yeah, is using a low initial price. So students often confuse, aren't they, price skimming and penetration pricing, G?
Yeah, that is a key thing, and sometimes penetration pricing is mixed up with market penetration. So it's against these confusing terms. So price skimming is often confused with price penetration and vice versa. Yeah.
This is saying, wouldn't the service change depending on the channel? Well, it depends what the service is. But if taking my tutoring example, the service is providing tutoring, isn't it? So we're providing this service here using online streaming. But we could just as easily hold maybe a group of students getting together for a free revision seminar of some sort, face to face. And it's also about how do people buy or access that service, but it can be multi-channel. Excellent stuff. I'll ignore the question from Owen about whether or not you've switched allegiances in football clubs, Graham, from Sunderland to Newcastle. I think the answer is no.
I'm not annoyed because otherwise I'd have to live in Newcastle, and who would want that?
Now, we've got this problem, haven't we? We've got a classic problem here. We've put a calculation on screen, and before we start the clock, there'll be somebody who gets the answer. So let's get the clock started. We've got some information about a business.
Yeah, I'm going to work this out.
And we want to work out the monthly margin of safety for Bakewell Bakery. Have a go. Oh, I've got it going just before the answers started appearing. So don't forget, margin of safety is the actual sales or output less the break-even outputs. So we've got enough information there to work out the break-even outputs, and just use that to work out the monthly margin of safety.
Oh, do you know what? It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one, that one, actually. It's a tricky one, that, because I've just worked it out myself there. It's a tricky one there, and I think, have we any answers coming through yet?
Not yet.
Not yet, no.
That's why this session's called Tricky Topics.
It's tricky, this one. And do you know what? Amazing.
Here's coming through now.
Here's some answers coming through.
Yeah, I can't argue. Cam and David have put their
David
workings in as
Herdman,
well, which is just
you know.
phenomenal. Let's stick Cam on because I think it's the first time today that Cam has actually put something in a live chat when he hasn't pressed it in 10 times. So just because of that, I'll stick the entry there on the screen.
I think Dave Herdman changed his mind there, but I think originally, David, you were correct there. I think you were correct. I think.
Yeah, well, you've always got the option, haven't you, to change your mind. Cam's going for 2,000 units. JT and Lola and lots of others, Tanya, Sophie, have agreed with you. So
I think it's the current annual sales, isn't it? Because it was annual units, wasn't it? I think we needed to divide that by 12, didn't we, to get the monthly.
Step one is always calculate the contribution per unit. That's easy, £2.30 a unit. So it's £3.50 less £1.20. So every time we sell a unit, we make a contribution of £2.30. And then, well, we need to work out what's the monthly break even. Well, we sell, it's fixed costs, isn't it? Divided by the contribution per unit. So 4,000 units per month. How many units are we actually selling? Well, we're told 72,000 units, but that's per year. Therefore, it's 6,000 per month. Therefore, 6,000 less 4,000. 2,000 units per month is the correct answer.
It's a correct answer, yeah.
My monthly break even.
I wrote it out myself there.
Good stuff. Well done for getting it right, Jay. Because you normally do get them right. Over to you, mate. I think this is quite, we've got a couple of activities left. This is a hard case study. Let's spend 5 minutes on this.
It is hard. Yeah. Hide and Sleek is a UK-based manufacturer of luxury handcrafted leather goods.
Like handbags?
Handbags, yeah. Specialising in premium handbags.
Okay.
The business imports 80% of its raw materials, high-quality leather, from Italy and Spain with payments made in euros.
Okay.
It sells 75% of its finished products to customers in the US and Dubai, who pay for their goods in dollars. So let's split this down. So they're buying its raw materials from Europe in euros, and it's exporting some of its goods to the US and Dubai and paying for those goods in US dollars, who pay for the goods in dollars. And we've got selected data there, haven't we? Got some sales revenue, operating profit margin, the current exchange rate. Give me 2 ways in which the profits of Hide and Sleek might be affected if the pound gets stronger compared with both the euro and the dollar.
So it's a stronger pound.
Yeah.
And we're given some information about their importing, and we're given some information about their exporting.
Yeah.
And we're told they export in dollars and they import in euros, don't they? Over to the live chat. We have got a time on us. Let's play some funky music just for a minute whilst people have a little think. Maybe focus on the import impact or the export or both. How would you approach this question? Obviously, the golden rule applies to AG as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, you've got data there. We need to be data in our answer, really. So, we've got the current exchange rate there, so we can see that. So we're looking at if the pound gets stronger compared with the euro and the dollar.
Tanish, I'm just going to put this on because this will gladden Graham's. Putting that comment on still has the data shown here, but this will gladden Graham's heart because he's actually, this answer is explaining how and why.
Yeah, rather than just churning out the spiced acronym or the whippy deck acronym.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of good answers coming through.
Yeah.
So some good application there. Daniel, their imports will be cheaper. So 80% of their imports will be cheaper. So that's a good application.
Yep.
You've recognised 80% of their imports will be cheaper.
Yeah, but not all of them. Yeah, exactly.
Not all of them. Yeah. And you're talking about 75% of the exports. So some good application there, isn't he?
Yeah, Richard making the point about a decreased value of export sales.
Yeah.
So he's worked out that 75% of the revenues are going to be export sales, 3.15 million. Actually, we're given that data, but we've used the data in the answer, which is good.
Great stuff. Some great answers coming through.
Doing great. Talking about how import costs should be cheaper. You don't need as many pounds to pay for the euros, but on the flip side, exports will cost more. But also, when we do get customers paying us, it will be in dollars, won't it? So we'll need more dollars to convert them into pounds. Yeah, good stuff. I think it's a really hard case study. This, so
it is really good, really well done.
Shall we have a look at a couple of suggested solutions? I think these two really just talk to the need to use the data, don't they?
Yeah.
You do the first one, G, and I'll go through the second one.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people, picked up on this. The higher profits due to low raw material costs. If the pound strengthens against the euro, and we've got an example there from $1 to 83p to $1 Sorry, €1,
euro.
sorry,
Yep.
83p, €1 to 88p. Hide and Slick's raw material costs should fall as it will need fewer pounds for each delivery of leather. So that's good application there.
Yep.
Currently, Hide and Sleek spends €2.16 million, which is £1.8 million on imported leather from Italy and Spain. More application. So with a stronger pound, the same €2.6 million would cost only £1.7 million. So again, it's really important to illustrate this rather than just sort of churning out that spiced acronym. Reducing raw material costs by £100,000 and potentially increasing profit margins above the current 22% if this saving is not passed on to customers. That's an ideal answer to that.
Yeah, Cam's making the point in the live chat about that stronger pound will give the business more purchasing power. It'll be able to, it's actually going to pay less for its raw materials, isn't it?
Yeah.
But in other words, the pound goes further. The pound goes further in terms of how many and how much you pay for that leather, for the handbags. And then the second one is the flip side, isn't it? If the pound gets stronger, our imports become cheaper. But the downside is, from a customer point of view, our exports get dearer. And not only that, might that have an impact on price competitiveness if the market is sensitive to price, which it could be. But actually, if you think about the sales we do make overseas, 75% of them are coming from export customers. So not all of it, but we have to convert those dollar sales into pounds. And the problem with that is we need more dollars to convert into a pound of sales. Therefore, actually, the value of our export sales falls, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because when we convert dollars into pounds, we don't get as many pounds for our dollar exports. So that's that. In other words, the value of our sales revenue falls as a consequence of the stronger pound.
Yeah. I mean, that could be lots of students saying how many marks. That could be a 9-mark question if it was analyze the ways.
Yeah.
Which would be plural, in which the profits of Hide and Sleep might be impacted. If it was just singular, then you'd only need one of those, of course. So it could be a 9-mark question.
Given the case study situation, that could be a 12-marker, couldn't it, in paper 3? We might be given some information about exchange rates and about the business.
Yeah.
And if the question was, give me 2 ways or analyze 2 ways in which the profits might be impacted, we would know then that we need to deal with both the higher, the impact on imports and the impact on exports to meet the demands of the question. So good stuff.
Great answers.
And hopefully that illustrates the need to use data. So we got a couple of little activities left. Let's do a quick application spinner. I like this one. Over the years, students have really shown a relatively limited or weak understanding of financial statements, the income statement and the balance sheet. The examiners have commented on this. So let's do a quick one. I'll do the first one, G, then you do the second. So over to you in the live chat. 2 examples of assets that will be found on the balance sheet or the statement of financial position of. What's it going to be, G? What do you think?
Greg's. Oh.
No, it's IKEA. Isn't that amazing? It's landed on IKEA. We were just talking about IKEA, weren't we, in the previous session?
Yeah, we were.
So give me an example, quick fire in the live chat of an asset that will be found on the balance sheet. You can either give me a non-current asset or perhaps a current asset, one that might be included in IKEA's current ratio, possibly. Matthias has gone for forklifts. I'll take that because they have big warehouses and stock. Stock isn't really applied enough, but I'll take forklifts. What about Jesse's here, G? Stocks of furniture and wardrobes.
Yeah, I like that.
Their warehouses and shops. That's definitely IKEA, isn't it?
And we got Cam was saying stocks such as bed frames.
Oh,
flat pack furniture. Flat pack furniture. Yeah.
Yep.
Inventory such as furniture.
William is going for the meatballs.
The meatball angle. Yeah. It's interesting, that, isn't it? The
JT, who attends all of these sessions, is on the ball. Stock of furniture, wooden tables, lamps, and more. And that's definitely IKEA, isn't it? That's not GlaxoSmithKline. Thanish is going for timber, furniture. So if you just said inventory, it's not really enough because it's not applied. What did we go with? We went with inventories of ready-to-assemble furniture. In current assets, inventory might include the cost of flat packed furniture. That's not easy to say, such as Billy bookcases. Have you got a Billy bookcase, G? I bet you have somewhere.
Yeah, Billy keeps ringing me up saying he wants it back. But yeah, I've definitely got a Billy bookcase.
And right at the end, I've added in inventories would also include stocks of food products such as meatballs used in their Swedish food markets and restaurants. That is applied, isn't it? We've probably gone over the top with that, but it's to help make the point, isn't it? I know a lot of students are now getting into the habit of, and it's almost becoming intuitive to say such as, but it seriously does improve the quality of your application. Do you want to take this one, Jim?
It works.
Income
It works.
statement this time.
Yeah. So let's have a look at an element of the income statement for.
Surely it can't land on GSK with all.
GlaxoSmithKline.
Pharmaceuticals.
What do we think? So, what might be on the income statement of GlaxoSmithKline? What do we think?
William's happy. He's got meatballs mentioned. It had to be, really, didn't it? I mean, that's flat pack furniture, Billy bookcases, and meatballs are the three words that come to mind.
Yeah.
But we've now moved on to the income statement of a pharmaceutical business that a number of people have never heard of.
Billy bookcases, eh?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So.
It would be on the income statement. Cost of sales. Let's change that, Cam, to cost of sales, such as chemicals like sulfur dioxide.
Yeah, when I first read that, I thought it said chemicals and stuff, but now I read it says chemicals like sulfur dioxide. Yeah.
Yeah, the cost of sales, David, the cost of sales of drugs.
Drug costs, you know.
Yeah. James come up with them here. The research and development cost of sales, such as chemicals.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Hang on. Daniel has gone.
Oh, for their tablets.
Over the top. New medicines and raw materials for their tablets. And that's tablets that you consume rather than tablets that you write on.
Oh, yeah. So not like an iPad, no. Yeah, laboratory costs.
Oh, Hannah.
You know, that's great.
The cost of chemicals and equipment such as beakers and test tubes. That wins the answer of the day. No question about it. I've just got this vision of all the boffins at GlaxoSmithKline, of which there are many, and they're amazingly talented people. But they do indeed use beakers and test tubes, don't they?
They do.
Oh, well, look, what about this one from Adam? He was. What about that?
Oh,
the cost of rent of their head office in Brentford. Whoa! Amazing.
It doesn't get much more applied than that.
Yeah. Well, hard to beat, really. Here's what we went with.
So manufacturing costs for medicines and vaccines, including the cost of ingredients such as paracetamol, research and development costs for new drugs and treatments, such as the cost of operating medical trials and applying for drug patents. Great stuff, everyone.
Yeah, well done. Actually, there was a comment that came in here. I'll stick Bill's on. I think it's a typo. Bill's saying the cost of patients. Well, possibly, but I think if you take the I out, the cost of patents would be.
Right, yeah.
I see what Bill did there. Smart.
That's why I was never a doctor, Jim. You know, never had the patience. Never had the patience.
That reminds me, if ever you're a doctor and you look and the life support machine's not working, don't switch it on and off. It's very important not to do that.
Power down reset.
If ever you find that. Should we finish off with a 9 marker? Now, this is a topic that I know is one of your favourites, Graham, where we've got a 9 mark situation. We've been given a bit of context, but can we use the information in the answer? So here we go. A business has got receivables days ratio of 90 days based on its sales this year of 1.3 million. Analyse how the use of debt factoring, one of your favourite topics, Graham, might impact the financial position of the business. So what's it about? So don't forget, best revision technique you can do between now and paper 1 is taking the different papers and just planning the answer, unpicking what's the question about, the start point, which in this case is what, G? What would you say if you were answering
debt
this?
factoring. Debt factoring.
Correct. So do we need to define debt factoring?
No, you could do. You don't need to.
We never say you don't have to or shouldn't, but it's not optimal if you want to answer these questions efficiently. Yeah. The end point is financial position. And the wording of the question and the context is this information we're given, isn't it? It's improve, or it might impact positive or negative, but we want to use that information with that context.
Yeah.
To answer the question. And the scope of the question is 1, isn't it? Analyse how. So,
Now, when
what
this
do we
similar
think?
question like this has been examined before, and it's always accompanied by some financial information or bits from the statement of financial position or balance sheet, just like we've got on screen here. So it's a common question that's asked.
Now, students are piling into this question, so we'll pick out 3 or 4 answers. Thanish has gone in there. The benefit of debt factoring there is that you get the instant cash by selling its unpaid invoices. That shows me you understand what debt factoring is. So you get 90% of the invoices typically straight away as cash. That might improve your liquidity position. You got more cash, not receivables. However, the factoring company takes a cut, don't they? Because they take on the responsibility of collecting the debt. And let's say they take 10%, therefore that would impact your profit margin. Let's have a look. What else? What else have we spotted here? There's lots of great answers coming in.
Yes, lots of great answers coming through. A lot of knowledge about how they take a proportion of the debt and things like that.
Yep.
We need to link it to financial position. That's the end point. Yeah, you're correct. They don't get all the money owed to them, but they get some money. So that could improve the financial position. So.
Okay, so let's go through, as always with these things, we're just going to take you through what we think would be a decent answer, hopefully for level 3 for 9 marks. Take us through this, G, just to explain the exam technique.
So always start with the relevant point. There's no need to use the words of the question. This just saves time. So improve liquidity as receivables turn into cash. That's our point. Currently, the liquidity of the business is being adversely impacted by having a high value of amounts owed to customers, rather than in more liquid cash. A receivables days ratio of 90 days on 1.3 million in sales means that the business has approximately £325,000 tied up in unpaid invoices from customers. We've done a little bit of calculation there.
Yep.
Using debt factoring would allow the business to immediately access around 80 to 90% of this value. Again, another calculation, to support your answer is always welcome. In return for paying a percentage of the receivables to the debt factoring business. Consequently, although the gross profit margin on the sales would be lower, the business would have significantly more cash available now to pay for the day-to-day working capital, such as paying wages and buying inventories. So a well-structured answer with logical developed chains of reasoning with some data in there, you would give that full marks, wouldn't you?
I think so. I know Examiner AI would give it 8.
You would give that full marks.
But it is a level 3 answer, isn't it? It explains how and why debt factoring would improve, in this case, the financial position of the business. It shows knowledge and understanding of debt factoring, and it uses context. It draws on the information or the situation given. So, as Owen says, it's a world-class answer. Well, that's very kind, Owen. Graham gives it 9. Examiner AI gives it 8.
Yeah, you could get 9 marks with less than that. You could. We're just modelling. We're just modelling the technique here. We're just modelling the technique.
Tiny's saying, where are the calculations from? All we're doing there is we're just manipulating the data, aren't we? We're told it's 90 days and we've got receivable, or we sell 1.3 million a year. Well, if we assume that's all on trade credit or trade to customers, that must mean that roughly a quarter of that, 3 months worth, is outstanding at any one time, isn't it? So roughly 325,000 is sat waiting to be paid. Well, you'd rather have that as cash. So if you sold that 325,000 to the debt factoring company, you don't get the full amount back. You get 90% of it.
You get some, though.
And then they take the rest. So that's how debt factoring works. And it's an examiner favourite because not every student remembers what it's about.
Good stuff.
What an amazing session. We have packed a lot into that. I know it's been 35, 40 minutes, but we've tried to pick probably 10 or 11, maybe even 12 topics that we know from experience students often struggle with. And so well done on those. Well done. Sorry, Matthias is asking, why am I multiplying 1.3 million by 90? I'm not actually. I'm dividing it. It's 90 days, isn't it? So it's 90 over 365.
Yeah,
would be the amount of days that are outstanding. But yeah, well done. I think that is as hard as it gets. I don't think we've done a harder session than that, G. Unless you can.
No, I can't remember. No, we've done 250, haven't we? But it's hard to recall a harder one out of the 250.
What's number 17 harder? I can't remember. No, possibly not.
Not everyone's done 250, so maybe other subjects can remember theirs more easily.
Can you remember how many economics have done, just off the top of your head?
Oh, 211, I think. Slacking.
Well, yeah, but I mean, to be fair, they are slightly longer than ours. So,
Yeah.
well, it just seems that way, doesn't it, when you're on them?
Exactly. Yeah, it does.
So as Daniel says, well done, lads.
Thank you
And
very
Daniel,
much.
well, it's not so much as Daniel, you and everybody else in the live chat, for everybody's joined us for this week and last week. Have a cracking Easter. I love that. I see what you did there, Daniel. That's an excellent pun.
An excellent pun, isn't it? Yeah.
So
Hard to beat.
Yeah. Graham is the man when it comes to puns, as you know, if you've met him. We do hope that it's going well. Don't forget, look after yourself. You're doing well, chipping away every half an hour, 45 minutes every hour you can put into the bank of revision is going to earn you some happiness.
I think someone's recognising about my vegan credentials there, enjoying my moo-free Easter eggs. Yeah, I will. Thank you. That's very kind. Very kind.
I'll if you've got some spare, Graham, just send them down, mate. I'll have them.
No,
Dom's asking, will there be any more business streams in the coming weeks? There certainly will. So we take a break for next week. We get ready for our Grade Booster workshops. We're down to London at the end of this month. And then once we've got those out the way, we are pretty much full on, aren't we, G? Really? Live streaming.
Yeah.
Ahead of Paper 1 and beyond Paper 1 as well. Paper 2. And we don't do any after Paper 3. But loads more coming up. So good stuff. I think we're good to go. Anything else to say, G, before we?
No. Just thanks so much for taking time out of your busy days to join us. We do really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and have a great. Work hard, but don't forget to relax. And we might see you at a live stream. At a workshop. In London. But if not, we'll be back in a couple of weeks, won't we? 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. And all the best, everyone. Cheers.